In this recorded tutorial, we're going to look at some more modify tools. The first one we're going to look at is the rotate function. So I'm going to draw a line, and I can either choose the rotate button up in the modify panel, or I can select the object and use right click and choose rotate. The first thing it asks us for is to specify the base point. So I'm going to click on the end of the line. You can click anywhere, and now it will rotate around that point. Now AutoCAD uses mathematics rules for its functions, and in mathematics 0 is at 3 o'clock and everything rotates anti-clockwise. So from this point, if I was to type in 45 and press enter, this line will rotate around that point 45 degrees anti-clockwise. If I wanted to rotate clockwise, specify my base point, and I need to type in minus 45 and it will rotate clockwise. The next tool we're going to look at is the mirror tool. So I'm just going to draw a line, and I'll draw it at a diagonal so that you can see what's going to happen. Select the object, choose mirror from the modify panel, and it's going to ask us for the mirror line. So basically we're going to draw the line of symmetry. So if I just click anywhere, and you can see that now as I draw this line of symmetry, it will show me a preview of what it's going to do. If I put my mirror line there and click, it now asks me, do I want to erase the source object or not? And if I click no, it will keep both objects. The offset button is this one here. It looks like a cloud within a cloud. When I click on there, the first thing it asks me for is to specify the distance. At this point, I could click between two known points and it will measure the distance for me. Otherwise, I could just type in a distance at this time. So if I type in 100, press enter, AutoCAD will now offset any object I click on by 100 millimeters. So if I click on this line, I get a preview of what that will look like. And it doesn't matter how far past that line I go, it will only offset by 100. If I click on either side of the line, that's the side it's going to offset at. I can also use another function in the offset tool. This time I'm going to just press enter because 100 is still in there. Select the line, and at this point press the down arrow and go to multiple. Now every time I click one side of that line, it will keep offsetting. The trim tool lives at the top of the modify panel. There's actually two functions here. There's trim and extend, and they both work together in harmony. If we click trim, the first thing that it asks for is to select the objects. And at this point, if we right click on the mouse, it will select the entire drawing, which means that we can use the trim tool over and over again. What the trim tool does is allows us to trim back any line or any object to the next intersection. If I hover over this line, you can see the preview and it shows me what it's going to do. So if I click, it will allow me to trim back any line to the next nearest point. But what it won't allow me to do is delete a line completely. You can see that if I hover over this line, it's got nowhere to trim back to. It needs to have an intersection. If I click and hold down the shift key at the same time, the trim tool now turns into an extend tool. And the way the extend tool works is if I hover over the line to the right, it will extend to the right. And if I hover over the line to the left, it will extend to the left. Again, just like the trim tool, there has to be an intersection for it to extend to. It won't let you extend it into infinity. The scale tool can be found here in the modify panel, or you can select the object, right click and go down to scale. The first thing it asks for is to specify the base point. So I'm just going to click here, and at this point now I can scale the object. Now it's easiest if you type in a number, and this number will be a factor of the size. So at the moment, the original size is 0. If I wanted to make this twice as big, I would type in 2, enter. It is now twice as big. Conversely, if I wanted to make it half as big, I would type in 0.5. And that's how scale works. Now this can be a little bit tricky to judge, especially if you're not too sure how big you want it to be using a factor. So there's another way of using the scale tool, which I find quite useful. If you right click, go to scale, select your base point, and at this point press the down arrow and go to reference. This will allow me now to draw a line, doesn't matter how long or where it is, just do 2 clicks, and now I'm using that as my scale, and you can see that I get a dynamic way of being able to scale that up and down visually. Click and finish.